Alright, what's going on, y'all? Today I've got some budget green-white Magecraft. This deck's been going around a little bit for a couple of weeks. The idea is you play these very strong Magecraft cards in Leonin Lightscribe, Clever Lumimancer, Dragon's Guard Elite, which get stronger when you cast or copy instants and sorceries, and it makes them very, very large very, very quickly, and can often kill the opponent on turn 4 as long as they're not doing a whole lot of interaction. We have decent number more creatures now since we have Monk of the Open Hand, as opposed to before Adventures in the Forgotten Realms came out. Monk of the Open Hand is pretty important to give you another very strong 1-drop that can become large enough to be a threat in the late game. Since we're not curving out like regular aggro, we need our 1-drops to be big threats on their own. Monk of the Open Hand is pretty good for that, getting a counter every time you cast your second spell each turn. We've also got Clarion Spirit, of course, to go with that theme. It's just a phenomenal uncommon, and if we're going budget, Clarion Spirit's about one of the best 2-drop uncommons we can have. And then the rest of the deck is just good instants. Most of them we've seen before. Wild Shape is a new one. We don't very often use the 1/5 Spider mode, but it can turn your creatures into a 1/3 with Hexproof, so it blanks your opponent's removal, or a 3/3 with Trample, which if you cast it on your 0 mana or 0 power creature or 1 power, 1 base power creature, it can give a significant increase in damage, as well as giving Trample, which can get through those pesky blockers. So it's a pretty good versatile card. Also Snakeskin Veil to help blank removal spells and get counters to make your stuff stronger. Pretty solid. Charge Through also gives Trample and can draw a card, which can help find your second spell for your Monk of the Open Hand and Clarion Spirit, or just give you more gas. Blizzard Brawl, fantastic 1-mana uncommon removal spell. And we've also got Show of Confidence, which if you cast other instants and sorceries this turn, it copies a whole bunch of times, which makes your other Magecraft triggers go absolutely nuts, and it's a whole lot of fun. We've got just 10 rares in the main deck with the 4 Light Scribes, 2 Dragon's Guard Elites, 3 Pathways, and 1 Lair of the Hydra. We're usually okay with our colors since I upped the land count to 23. The first 2 games in the video have just 21 lands, and that was kind of rough. But up with 23, the curve is much smoother. Lair of the Hydra gives you something to do if you flood out. If you have more of them, absolutely add them. I just wanted to keep the rare count low for the budget theme. And then we have 1 additional rare in the sideboard with Academic Probation to stop a blocker or a sweeper. Usually blockers, because in this current meta it's kind of hard to predict a turn 3 or 4 sweeper. But still a good versatile card to have to get off of Guiding Voice, which is our only learn source. Guiding Voice also phenomenal for triggering the 2 spells because it is 1 mana and gives you another spell from your sideboard. Very nice card in this deck. We've also got Sciences to get a Magecraft trigger for 2 mana and gain life and lands. Good stuff. Containment Breach to knock out Ranger class and stuff like that. Spirit Summoning to get a body, and Expanded Anatomy to buff the creatures we already have. That is the deck. Let's go try it out. Okay, no 1-drop, but Clarion Spirit and lots to do on the play. Should be alright. Could be just about anything with just Despair Sentinel. Let's get the Clarion Spirit down. Next turn we can Monk and cast another spell. Should be pretty good. Alright, green-black is probably Elves. 3 Despair Sentinels, why not? Okay, no stick for a, what is it, Snakeskin Veil, anything like that. Probably just use the Blizzard Brawl here to take one of these out. Although, I'd really like to Blizzard Brawl something more valuable, like a War Master. So let's actually just draw a card and try to hit our land drop. Okay, another Blizzard Brawl is a pretty good draw. See what our opponent can do here. They could have up to 6 mana this turn if they play 3 more creatures. Alright, Chariot is not good for us. It's very powerful, and we can't really do anything about it without lands. Let's put a counter on the flyer. Now, crewing the Chariot holds priority. And I want to hit land, so I'm going to discard to draw here. If they also have removal, I mean if we're using Wild Shape to get through removal instead of Blizzard Brawl to remove their things, I think we're very far behind. So let's get rid of the Wild Shape. Still no land. Let's remove their option of blocking, get our double spell for the turn. Sure, crew the Chariot, why not? Wasn't going to attack on the ground anyway. Now we do have enough power and toughness to block the Chariot somewhat profitably, so they might be hesitant about using it. Okay, it is just Jund. It might be the Skeletal Swarming pile, it might be just Jund Midrange. Okay, now they can't crew the Chariot. There's Jund Nexus. So they do have the combo assembled. They do attack. Or not. Yes, they do attack. Our only option here is to sneak through lethal, because they are very much ahead of us. And we're 13 cards in with only 2 lands, so probably not much we can do. Let's see if we can draw a land. No. Lumimancer might be able to find us a bit more damage, though. And until they find Skeletal Swarming, we can jump our way through quite a lot. Though, of course, the last card in their hand is Skeletal Swarming. Never didn't have it. So, yeah, they all have Trample. That's more than we can block. Almost got there, but they had everything they could have asked for. Another 2-lander on the draw. This time we have a 1-drop. Could be okay. That's not a land. If we find an untapped land, we can have a pretty nice turn 3. Jeskai, probably some sort of control. Clarion Spirit's not a land. Is this Doomscar foretold? Perhaps, but not yet. And still no lands. I'm going to play as though they don't have Doomscar, because if they do, there's nothing we can really do. So we'll turn the Monk into a 3/3 for the turn to push more damage. Okay, increased the land count to 23. Maybe now we'll be able to get to our third land. This hand, however, has no creatures, so we should throw it back. This land doesn't have any white sources, so we can't keep that either. This hand is playable. Put back the third land, and one of the 2-drops. I think we can go all in on the Light Scribe Clarion Spirit. Or we could keep the Clarion Spirit and throw back the Lumimancer. Have a bit more, hedge our bets a little. I think I like that. Though on the play, we can be aggressive. No, we need Guiding Voice. It's Clarion Spirit that goes back. Yeah, now we get land number 3, now that we have no cards to play. Probably Guiding Voice into a... No, I will Clarion Spirit into Guiding Voice. That is better. And then we can go get probably not Environmental Sciences. Expanded Anatomy, probably. Yeah, that's probably best here. Or we could get a 3-2. Expanded Anatomy gets damage this turn. 3-2 gets damage in future turns. Or we could stop a blocker and then have mana open if we draw another 1-mana spell. I think I like that. Yeah, they might as well block now. Nope, decides not to, even though they very well may not get the chance next turn. Masked Vandal and 3 colors of lands suggests Party. Show of Confidence is not bad. If I just make that unable to block, do I have lethal? There's a lot of damage, I know that. And they have nothing to hold priority. Let's see, 7 plus 5, they go to 1, so not much they can do there unless they run Doomscar, which probably not likely. Okay, we have 3 lands at least, and at least 1 spell to go with our creatures. Looks good. Don't see any reason not to go for the turn 1 Lumimancer. Gives us more options on turn 3 for being aggressive. Opponent's got Tiamat sleeves, could be just about anything. Green-white, no plays. Probably some sort of mid-range pile, that's what we've seen from green-white lately. With only 1 other creature, there's not a huge difference in which of these to play first. They'll probably be playing creatures of their own, so Dragon's Guard Elite is better in a somewhat longer game plan, so we'll go for that. They'll probably be able to stall us at least a little bit with blockers and whatnot. Then next turn we can start holding open Snakeskin Veil. Or go for Light Scribe if we deem that unnecessary. Still just green-white. Party, once again. Why not? Well, if we attack here, we have to use the Snakeskin Veil, and yeah, we'd have to use the Snakeskin Veil to get through the Tadru Paragon, which is fine, but Party doesn't really run that much removal, especially not that you can cast on turn 3 with only 1 creature in your party, so I want to get the Light Scribe down first. I don't want to trade my Dragon's Guard Elite for their Paragon, especially with a Light Scribe on board. Everybody matters. And next turn we can have a big attack. Okay, Lair of the Hydra's better than another do-nothing land here. Only running 23, but got 6 in the top 10. Seems about right. A couple more turns and we can activate a Dragon's Guard Elite. Not that we want to do that. Everything here at least trades once we cast Snakeskin Veil. We'll make, if they block with the Paragon, we'll make the thing that it blocks a 4/4. If we cast Snakeskin Veil and they do nothing, they take 12, which is not a hugely threatening amount. Especially since there's a good chance they can get a full party next turn. Yeah, you tanked for a whole minute picking out your blocks. Now you think it's my go? Let's go for the damage. We could hold it for next turn, so to stop the Linvala making it unable to block, but we have 3 good threats here. I don't think that's terribly important. Sorry, miscounted. Maybe I should have put the counter on the Light Scribe so it could attack into Linvala without a Magecraft trigger. Pretty much any spell off the top and we're super happy here. We don't even need it to resolve if they're concerted defense gamers. As long as we get the Magecraft triggers, we're good. Lair of the Hydra is not that great for another couple turns. Attacking with it as a 2/2 is not phenomenal. Especially into their 3/3s. Yep. One more. Can you assemble a full party? No, you cannot. That's good for us. So they don't get to draw cards off the Trap Finder or stop us from attacking with Linvala. Like to see that. Blizzard Brawl. Very nice. Eliminates a blocker. And allows us to attack. Or if they have concerted defense, they could use that. Then we'd have to pay 1 + 3, which is 4, which we can't do. So we might as well power up Lair of the Hydra first anyway. So it gets the benefit of the Light Scribe trigger. We just pay X1. Linvala holds priority here. And we have to play this land, so we have 3 snow sources. Be careful with that. Let's spread out our damage a little bit. Let's try and kill this Linvala. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Yep, there's concerted defense. Couldn't play around it anyway. That's fine, it still makes all our creatures bigger. Now, do we bother attacking with the Lair of the Hydra since they still have Linvala to eat it? If they block that, they can trade the Paragon for the Light Scribe, and then they still have to chump with the Trap Finder. And then they still take 6, so yes, we do attack. No, they still take 4, which is not as much as 6. So let's not risk the Lair of the Hydra. If we just attack with these two, it does force at least one block. And if they try to kill it, it has to be a 2-for-1. Or I guess they could double block with these two and then use Linvala. I'm debating keeping the Light Scribe back, is what I'm thinking about. No, we are the beatdown here, especially with no more cards in our hand. We should go for it. They can chump with Linvala, and then trade Linvala for the Light Scribe. Then they lose Linvala and the Trap Finder for our... No, they don't lose the Trap Finder. They just trade Linvala for the Light Scribe, which is fine. Linvala is a very strong party payoff. Now this 4/4 Dragon's Guard Elite looks pretty good on the board. Now we can make a 3/3 Lair of the Hydra if we draw nothing else. Gain 3 life, draw 3 cards. While they're this behind on board is an interesting choice. Maybe they didn't have any better ones. Okay, no attacks. Another Light Scribe. Is playing that better than attacking with the 3/3 Lair of the Hydra? Probably. And Lumimancer doesn't have a good attack here, so we just send the 4/4, which either they take 4 damage or we get a 2-for-1. Takes 4, sure. Here's a Light Scribe. Next turn we can start doubling the Dragon's Guard Elite. Didn't really expect to do that with this deck, but it is a possibility now. If they have 2 more party creatures, they can start drawing cards off their Trap Finder, which is not ideal, but they've already got 6 cards up on us. So that's not going to affect whether we win or not at this stage. That is greedy. Do they not have any more blockers to play? Very strange. 1 more blocker. And they have a land drop. Yep. Still holding open Concerted Defense, I imagine, though now we can pay 4 for it. Snakeskin Veil is better than pumping Dragon's Guard Elite, so I'll take it. And we can also make a 3/3 Lair of the Hydra and then do that. Seems pretty good. All in. If they want to trade their Tajuru Paragon for the Light Scribe, they have that option. Otherwise, all their blocks are pretty bad. Even if the Snakeskin Veil does get countered with all the triggers, we should be fine. Jumps the Elite. Anything else? Alright, so they do want to trade the Tajuru Paragon. which means I will try to call their bluff in the concerted defense. They've already played one. It's not super likely they have another. Let's try to save our Light Scribe here. That forces them to use it if they do have it. If they do have it and we targeted one of the other creatures, they could just take the 1 extra damage and be fine. But if we make it so that we'd keep our Light Scribe, they're forced to use it. Well, not necessarily forced, but it would put them in a very bad position if they didn't use it there. Okay, 1/3 Shapeshifter. Five mana left. What do you got? And another rogue. Sure. Well, a 4/4 Lair of the Hydra here would take out... would be a 2-for-1, so just attacking with that and Dragon's Guard Elite seems pretty okay. They might have another Spoils of Adventure here. I think that's better than either pumping the Dragon's Guard Elite, which they're just going to chump anyway, or casting Clarion Spirit before we have a second spell. X4. Okay, they don't have Spoils of Adventure. They might have more concerted defense. I'm not sure why else they'd leave open 4 mana. They do have to block both of these, which means they'll probably 2-for-1 the Lair of the Hydra. And then chump the Dragon's Guard Elite, and we still have 2 solid creatures on board, and they're down to nothing. Alright. To kill the Lair of the Hydra, they have to triple block it. I'd be rather surprised. They just double chump there. Interesting. So they have to block a 5/5 and a 4/4 again next turn. Alright, there's another Linvala, sure. That can make their blocks somewhat better. Manual taps now. More lands. They've drawn quite a bit of it, to be fair. Kicked to Juru Paragon. Gets Tazri. That's not great. Tazri is a large lad, which will get them significantly more creatures. So if we make the 4/4 here, they just block, sack Linvala, and they keep those. And then they played Tazri, which I guess is fine. Or, no, they would double block the Lair of the Hydra and sacrifice Linvala. And Linvala would block the Dragon's Guard Elite, so we would lose our Lair of the Hydra to trade with Linvala, which is not great. So I think we'll go for the Clarion Spirit here. But first we can attack with the Dragon's Guard Elite. Making little flyers might be relevant. And if they sacrifice Linvala here, they don't have enough power to kill the Dragon's Guard Elite. So we at least get a 2-for-1. Or a 1-for-0 with just the Dragon's Guard Elite attack. guess they're worried about charge through. But if I had charge through, I would have attacked with the Lumimancer. Let's do like this, in case they don't want to sack Linvala. And if they don't sack Linvala and we get the 2-for-1, that's fine. If we pump the 6 mana into the Dragon's Guard Elite, then they will sack Linvala. So I think not doing anything is the right play here. Because then we effectively did 6 mana to do nothing. Alright, they sacrificed Linvala anyway, sure. So now we Clarion Spirit and Monk. I think the 1/1 flyer is better than a counter on the Monk, so that's why we sequence that way. Now even with Tazri we have quite a wide board, including a flyer, which they might have some trouble with. Verazil Jara is a somewhat removal spell. And cast Tazri. They do not have the mana up to activate Tazri though, this turn anyway. Okay. They have 2 blue sources, so they still can't activate Tazri. There's a charge through. Is that lethal? Almost certainly. So we power this up for 4, or no, for 4 mana, X is 3. Then they have 4 blockers to our 6 attackers, and we either give one of these trample so they get 1 damage through, and then the 2 1/1s get through. We should be good. Whichever between the Lumimancer and the Dragon's Guard Elite is not blocked by Tazri. It's possible I should have just tried to draw into more good spells. Yeah, you can't block the 1/1s, Chief. You can't block the 1/1s, Chief. If you block the 1/1s, you're just dead without me casting anything. There you go. And actually, if they switch their blocks with Tazri and the Masked Vandal, they're not quite dead here. Because both of them would have exactly enough power to kill Tazri or the Vandal, so they wouldn't get any trample damage through. But, alright, we got there. Close one. Okay, 1-drop, 2-drop spells, 3 lands, looks good. Up against Dracolich Sleeves. Playing black, love to see it. Another 1-mana spell should do us well. Also allows us to double spell here and still hold up the hexproof. We'll buff up the Clarion Spirit. Monk will get counters on its own. Let's see, black-white could be angels, could be generic mid-range. Not much we can play around with Academic Probation. Containment Breach is good once we see the angel enchantments, but we haven't seen those yet. We also have another land drop. So I think what we want to do here is just take Expanded Anatomy. It guarantees we get more damage next turn. And then we turn the Monk into a 3/3, so we get more damage and the triggers. Attack for 7, and your go. Skullport Merchant can block one of the ground creatures. probably want this on white. Guess we should buff the flyer here, because either the Clarion Spirit or the monk can kill the Skullport Merchant if it blocks. Good to spread out the threats. They could Blood on the Snow next turn. I think that's all we are super concerned about. But we can't play around that at all. If they have spot removal, they're still pretty dead next turn. So let's just kill their merchant, trigger our stuff. Down to 6, we have 3/3/3s. Oh, they can't Blood on the Snow. They need 1 more mana for that. They could Lulth, which blocks 2 things, and then they take 4. They don't have Lulth, so they Skullport Merchant. And Spellbinder to take my forest. So both of these have to block next turn. And then we get... So the Spellbinder trades with anything. The Skullport Merchant just bounces off, which is fine. And then they take 4. They're down to 2. They also missed their land drop last turn, so they're still not very close to Blood on the Snow. Another Skullport Merchant. And another Spellbinder. Not great for us. Could I get a Guiding Voice, please? Blizzard Brawl will do, because we can give this 2 power and kill the flying blocker. And then we win. Nice top deck. A little bit lucky there, but we had several outs. Not too shabby. This budget version does pretty well.